Malawi following a landmark Supreme Court ruling this week. And in business, excitement among players following decision by Reserve Bank to introduce Malawi's first gold buying initiative. Now the news in detail. Let's start with some fresh news. President Lazarus Chakwera and First Lady Monica Saturday morning joined a brief parade at Sanjika Palace in Blantyre to mark Labor Day celebrations. At the event, workers asked Dr. Chakwera's administration to initiate policy changes to protect them from being laid off in times of crises. Alex Banda attended the brief ceremony and now reports.
For the union makes us strong.
This was the event to mark celebrations of this year's International Labour Day, hosted by President Lazarus Chakwera at Sanjika Palace in Blantyre. Speaking at the event, Chairperson of Board of Trustees for Employers Conservative Association of Malawi, ECAM, Zandile Shawa, and Malawi Congress of Trade Union MCTU President Luther Mambala, they want dialogue and policy change to cushion workers in times of crisis like COVID-19. MCTU President Mambala proposes social protection for workers in such times.
We are actually asking government to come up with a law to emphasize on this law of social security, to make sure that when employees are actually in this pandemic or in such pandemics like the one that we have at the moment, then they should be able to live. They should be able to pay them or to give them some money that can actually subsidize, their problems at home.
In his speech, President Lazarus Chakwera acknowledged workers are a bedrock to any country's development. He said he is fully persuaded that the welfare of any nation's labor force cannot be improved without the help of strong unions.
I'm committed to ensuring that decent work is promoted in Malawi, that workers are paid their dues on time and commensurate with services rendered. I'm also committed to ensuring that mechanisms are put in place to protect the rights of workers. In this regard, my administration values the indispensable role that the unions play.
The May Day was commemorated with the theme Decent Work, Key to Economic Recovery Amidst the COVID-19 Pandemic. For Zodiac in Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
Now talk of the impact of COVID-19. A recent research by National Planning Commission NPC says over 70% of Malawians have been plunged into vulnerability as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The research titled Effects of COVID-19 on Agriculture Production, Food Markets, Growth and Poverty in Malawi documents that the pandemic has escalated disruptions on both cross-border trade and the local market. NPC's Director for Knowledge and Learning, Joseph Nagoli, told Zodiac the study calls for the need for more investment in the agriculture sector. We gave you this report by Chimwemwe Padata.
Effects of COVID-19 on agriculture production, food markets, growth and poverty in Malawi. A research paper by the planning think tanks documents that a lot of Malawians are now vulnerable as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some contributors include disruption of trade on both local and international markets that has affected businesses, mainly in the agriculture sector. National Planning Commission's Director of Learning and Knowledge, Joseph Nagoli, told Zodiac the current situation can be addressed through concerted efforts to encourage food resilience.
I think this is a worrisome situation that the pandemic has actually increased poverty levels. We are trying to see how can we grow from now.
Minister of Agriculture's Director of Planning, Rodwell Mzombe, admitted of the findings. Mzombe told us government is taking all efforts to reduce the vulnerability burden amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
We need to have a concerted effort to make sure that we plan very well, to make sure that our operations are well coordinated so that people should be healthy in a way, but we should also try to prevent the spread further to affect more farmers in Malawi.
At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the report recounts that prices of commodities skyrocketed and this affected lives of many Malawians. At the peak of the pandemic, the report recounts that prices of commodities skyrocketed and this affected lives of many Malawians. For Zodiac, I am Chimwemwe Padata.
This week, the Supreme Court of Appeal has made a landmark ruling ordering for review of all death sentence judgments in the country. The death penalty was declared unconstitutional in Malawi. The ruling by the Supreme Court follows an application by Mr. Charles Koviwa, who applied for a review of a death sentence that was meted on him years back. Human rights lawyer and activist Crispin Siwande has hailed the ruling, describing it as a milestone in Malawi laws. Alex Banda was on this story.
An application by a death row inmate, Charles Koviwa, who applied for a review of his death sentence, might just set the country's laws in a whole new different path. This follows a successful appeal by Koviwa with the Supreme Court of Appeal, granting the inmate his wish in a judgment made on Wednesday, 28th April 2021. Headed by Chief Justice Andrew Nyirenda himself and a panel of 8 other justices of appeal, they have deemed the death penalty as unconstitutional in Malawi. Crispin Siwande, a human rights lawyer and activist, reacts on the milestone.
If you are convicted of murder, it does not mean that you will be sentenced to death. It means that every court now, the moment it has the suspects who are charged of murder, the court will never pass death sentence. It will just be passing years.
Heads of human rights organizations, Youth and Society's Charles Kachiruweka and Michael Kayatsa, Executive Director for Center of Human Rights and Rehabilitation, CHRR, says it is time to strip off the death penalty from the Constitution.
Death penalty is a violation of the right to life. It's a violation also of the right not to be subjected to inhuman or degrading treatment. So as organizations, we are really very happy, and we are also hoping that government would comply with the Supreme Court ruling and ensure that death penalty is removed from our laws, especially the penal code.
Since the dawn of multi-party democracy in 1994, no democratically elected president has been able to sign off on the death penalty. For Zodiac and Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
Still on the course this week, a magistrate in Lilongwe dismissed 2 applications by Prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary to have the extradition case dismissed and have it certified as a constitutional matter. Lawyer for the 2 had argued that the case needed to be dismissed as the South African government had based it on the SADC protocol, which is not domesticated in Malawi. But in his ruling, Chief Resident Magistrate Patty Chira said while he agrees that the SADC protocol cannot be used in Malawi, South Africa was designated under a bilateral act of 1974 as a proceedable destination. Dr. Stephen Kayuni is the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, and is the high rejection rate of tobacco at the auction floor, saying it plans to engage the buyers on the matter. The sentiments have been made by the Minister of Agriculture, Lobin Lowe, after he opened the Limbi auction floors in Blantyre this week. Since this year's market opened last week, most farmers have complained about the high rejection rate for the leaf siding mixed quality. Happen Jaramano gave us this report from Blantyre.
Minister of Agriculture on Monday opened tobacco selling at the AHL Group Limbe floors, with the leaf selling at $2.30 highest and 90 cents lowest for the contract market, and $1.60 highest and 90 cents lowest for the auction market. Rejection rate on the first day was at 72% at the auction market, a development which the Minister Lobin Lowe says is discouraging, and a special message from the buyers.
When you compare the rejection rate with the contract farmers are celebrating, but as a nation we cannot do without auction. There is 20% of auction and 80% contract farming. This 20% encourages new entrants in the market. We cannot do without competition. And we are very soon engaging the buyers, because this is very discouraging. 72% is not a joke. If it is an issue to do with compliance, same grades, same quality, they are rejecting the tobacco on auction. Not good at all.
Tobacco Commission Board Chairperson Haren Kandawire gives a reason why buyers are opting for contract market over auction market.
We asked them, or what they are saying is that wherever they are taking the tobacco to, the owners, the ones who are ultimately buying this tobacco, they want to traceability of the tobacco. They are saying they want to make sure that child labor is abolished. So all these issues we are looking into are the reasons that our buyers are not very keen to buy to buy the auction tobacco.
President of Tobacco Association of Malawi, Abiero Kalimabanda, said farmers are happy with the prices but are not happy with the high rejection rate on the auction market.
You're watching This Week in the News on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly. Stick on.
Do you know, here at Lilongwe Water Board, we have in place a 24-hour call center just for you, our customers. Anytime you experience a water problem, don't hesitate to call us on 253 and it's free. Low water pressure, no water situation, billing queries, bill payment, pipe burst, pipe leaks, faults, tips, and illegal connections. Just dial 253 and we will assist you.
Wherever you go, a better future begins right here. So be part of this beautiful beginning. Malawi Adventist University Blantyre campus is inviting qualified persons to apply for admission into the 2-year Bachelor of Business Administration upgrading programs with concentration in marketing, accounting and management. Deposit an application fee of 10,000 kwacha to Malawi Adventist University, Standard Bank in Chewu branch, account number 910000744082. Download application forms at www.mau.ac.mw or collect them from Blantyre campus.
Email blantyrecampus@mau.adventist.org.
Your future awaits. Just come and learn how to grab it. Malawi Adventist University. Knowledge, truth, service.
Amalawi 2063 Ufika 2063 kale Wokomera aliyensi Achinyamata tikwira ne manja Tukula Malawi Achinyamata tikale patsogo Tukula Malawi Malawi Wozimira baeka Malawi Wokomera aliyensi Malawi 2063 kusinda dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Building a successful business is not an easy task. It takes a lot of focus, hard work, persistence, determination and sacrifices. With the passage of time, business growth is achieved to the amazement of the investor. After witnessing such growth, a strategic business person secures the business from risks that have the ability to ruin the investment. That is where the Prime Insurance Company comes in with a business insurance policy that targets small and medium enterprises. If you own a fuel service station, restaurant, lodge, clinic, farm, photography studio, retail or wholesale shop, you have an important partner in us. Without waiting for fate to strike on your investment, reach out to us at our offices in all the major cities of the country and get your business covered at affordable rates. Prime Insurance Company. We care and share in times of need.
Special scholarships available at UNICAF University for bachelor, master's and doctoral degree programs. UNICAF University is accredited nationally by the NCHEC and internationally by the British Accreditation Council in the UK. Enroll for internationally recognized degrees at a fraction of the cost, with the special scholarships available for the April-June 2021 intake. Feel safe knowing that your online studies with UNICAF University will not be disrupted by measures for the pandemic. From enrollment to graduation, everything runs smoothly online. Don't miss this golden opportunity. This offer is only valid until the end of June 2021. So apply today and get a free tablet when you register and pay the required deposit. Ring 01755 or WhatsApp 0993 907002 for more information.
Welcome back. The headlines as we continue the news. On commemoration to mark Labour Day, workers want government to initiate policy changes to protect jobs in times of crisis. National Planning Commission says over 70% of Malawians have been plunged into vulnerability as a result of COVID-19. The death penalty is outlawed in Malawi following a landmark Supreme Court ruling this week. And in business, excitement among players following decision by Reserve Bank to introduce Malawi's first gold buying initiative. On the political front, this week, UTM party announced it will not field a candidate for Nkata Bay Central constituency election rerun and has instead endorsed People's Party contestant Ralph Muhoni. UTM spokesperson Frank Bonifumbo says the decision is a gesture of loyalty to Muhoni, who successfully challenged results of the 2019 polls in court. The MCP will also not field a candidate. Steve Zimba sent us this report from Zuzu.
It seems Nkata Bay Central constituency is too hot for the UTM, and it is supporting People's Party candidate Mr. Ralph Muhoni in the fresh parliamentary election. Mr. Muhoni has successfully challenged the victory of Mr. Simon Mvua Kaunda at the Supreme Court of Appeal. University of Livingstonia-based political analyst Mr. Alex Kavinya says despite that the two are in an alliance, the move can weaken UTM structures in the constituency.
It is highly likely that the PP will be the greatest winner in this alliance. That is in terms of, if you compare these two alliance partners, UTM and the PP, because the PP will have an opportunity to sell candidate as opposed to the UTM.
UTM spokesperson Frank Bonifumbo has, however, backed the decision, saying the political party is just honoring Mr. Muhoni for his contribution during the 2019-2020 political turmoil.
He, together with other compatriots in the northern region, went around to campaign for the current political discourse. And it is in that recognition as well that we feel obliged that we should rally behind the Honorable Ralph Muhoni.
Nkata Bay Central constituency will be going to a fresh election after Mr. Muhoni protested the Malawi Electoral Commission make declaration of Mr. Simon Mvua Kaunda as winner, arguing that there were so many irregularities. For Zodiac in Mzuzu, this is Steve Zimbat reporting.
Finally, in business news, there is excitement about the decision by the Reserve Bank to introduce a gold buying initiative, as most people think this will improve the economy and livelihoods of artisanal and small-scale miners through establishment of structured markets. Natural Resources Justice Network Chairperson Kosa Muntali says government should put in place strict regulations that will prioritize the interests of local artisanal scale miners. Deputy Director of Geological Service in the Ministry of Mining, Konan Dumbola, told us this is meant to control illegal mining following revelations of different spots of alluvial gold. Adam Sunaninge has filed this report.
From May this year, the Reserve Bank of Malawi is expected to embark on a gold buying initiative, a move which will see artisanal small-scale miners being paid on the spot. However, Natural Resources Justice Network has asked government to put in place stringent regulations that will prioritize the interests of local artisanal scale miners instead of foreigners. The organization's chairperson, Kosa Muntali, observed that the gold sector has got huge potential of driving the country to attain the Malawi 2063 development agenda, adding that the establishment of structured markets will prevent small-scale miners from being robbed by middle buyers.
It's long overdue. Malawians may recall that we've been engaging through our national intervals, even the Reserve Bank. The law, the act that they are using today, it's been there for decades, where they've moved to conceptualizing today and they are discovering the existence of the alluvial god. For me, I think they are all the time. So this time around, we still feel that we've robbed a lot of our alluvial god,
On her part, the Reserve Bank of Malawi spokesperson Dr. Oneli Nkuna said the gold buying initiative is very important to small-scale miners as it will bring competitive prices, thereby improving their economic livelihoods.
The initiative is very important to the miners, particularly the so-called artisanal and small-scale miners. This initiative will bring in the much-needed competitive prices to these small-scale miners. Such this is going to positively benefit the miners. Well, the other thing is that the Reserve Bank through EDF is going to pay the miners on the spot. The miners will not necessarily wait for payment.
Deputy Director of Geological Service in the Ministry of Mining, Kondwani Dombola, said the initiative is aimed at controlling illegal gold mining activities taking place in some parts of the country following revelations of alluvial gold, and insisting that the Kaununi report showed potential target areas that still needs geological investigations. Reporting for ZBS News, this is Adams Clement Undaning.
That's about what we had time for in this edition of This Week in the News. Another look at the headlines. On commemoration to mark Labour Day, workers want government to initiate policy changes to protect jobs in times of crisis. National Planning Commission says over 70% of Malawians have been plunged into vulnerability as a result of COVID-19. The death penalty is outlawed in Malawi following a landmark Supreme Court ruling this week. And in business, excitement among players following decision by Reserve Bank to introduce Malawi's first gold buying initiative. Visit our website for more news. COVID-19 vaccination is underway in the country. Make a decision, protect yourself and your loved ones. I am Sibongile Ziambo. Thank you for watching.
Get all the latest news from the trusted source online. We have the most shared local news on our website. And we have a vast following on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe, follow, like. Zodiac Online, the only local trusted source on